Of this wild and dangerous lifestyle, he's also online dissing his Chicago ops. In early 2023, he was constantly clowning his 757 ops on a weekly basis. He taunts them, calls them broke, and basically says that they can do nothing about it. Obviously, the ops who are broke and still in the trenches are hurt by these comments and want to do something to Trench Baby. But because he's all the way in LA and seemingly untouchable, there's nothing they can do to stop his taunting. So that's when his main op 757 Lil Rue takes it to the next level. He goes on Instagram Live with Trench Baby and tells him he knows exactly where his brother lives. The live is now deleted, but he does it in a very threatening manner, basically insinuating that I'm coming to LA to get you, watch out. Trench Baby does not take the threat lightly, especially given Lil Rue's reputation. And not too long after the Instagram Live, Lil Rue actually does fly to LA. Aw shit. June 10th, 2023. 757 Lil Rue arrives to LA, and the first thing he looks for is a striker. So from what we know, he goes on social media looking for someone who can get him one. Somehow he's able to find one, and the man gives him a time and location to meet. Meet me at 1 in the morning in an empty parking lot behind a car dealership in North Hollywood, California. So Lil Rue waits in his hotel room till late, and then he heads out to the location. At 12:15 in the morning, he hops in an Uber in Inglewood headed to North Hollywood. The Uber arrives at 1 and drops him off on the corner of Magnolia Boulevard. From here, Lil Rue casually walks up the street headed for the parking lot. As he's gingerly walking up the street, a car is creeping right behind him. Rue is looking around for the guy he's supposed to meet, but he doesn't see anyone outside. Then at 1:15, a tinted up car pulls up and a man hops out. A man in a mask then walks up to Rue and simply whips out. What happened to Lil Rue puzzled everyone. Why was he in LA, and how did something happen to him in North Hollywood? So right away the internet would do their investigations. What the F you doing walking down an alley at 1:30 in the morning? Was it bad parts of LA?
He was close to a blood hood. He was walking through a gang territory and they thought he was the ops.
It's North Hollywood. Nah, they get busy up there. Alright bro, can we stop? What do you guys think LA is? Like, please turn off Boys in the Hood. It's not 1992, let's get realistic. Like, if you're rolling around LA, the chances of you running into some gang member who's actually with the activities is very, very low. Like, even if you go down to South Central, the worst you're gonna see is Crip Mac or Bompton G Uno. But regardless, after reading through all these theories, I finally found one that makes sense. I don't think it was mistaken identity. They seem to keep catching each other in LA. Well, just days after the incident, Trench Baby would take a picture and the location would be Lil Rue. Self-snitching at its finest, but LAPD wouldn't figure it out for quite some time. In the meantime, 757 knew exactly who did this, and because of that, it caused a serious retaliation. Lil Rue was a top-ranking member, and they knew for certain that Trench Baby had done this. However, because he's unreachable in LA, they decide to get back in Chicago. That fast forwards us 2 weeks, June 23rd, 2023. It's a late Friday afternoon and Welch World members want to go out and have some fun in peace. In particular, Trench Baby's best friend named Turbo decides to leave the city to have some fun. So at 7:30 p.m., he and a couple friends head down Interstate 55 to the small suburb of Romeoville, Illinois. In particular, they intend on going to Scene 75, which is basically like an arcade for grown-ups. So they arrive around 8:15 and they go inside with nothing but fun on their minds. They walk around, holler at some girls, and do what they do, not knowing that the rivals have been tracking them through social media. After seeing their stories on Instagram, the rivals drive all the way to Scene 75. They arrive at 10 o'clock just when everyone is emptying out. So they wait at the exit until they spot the Welch World members coming out. So as Turbo and his friends are walking out, they're seen by the rivals who quickly approach them. Turbo instantly puts his hands up to squabble, but sadly the rivals have no intentions of fighting. The incident shocked Welch World, especially based on where it occurred. On top of this, Turbo wasn't known to be a big target, and he pretty much was hit off of collateral damage. Because Trench Baby was still in LA, they wanted some revenge for what he allegedly did. Well, although this sadly seems like a regular occurrence, the incident actually had some serious implications. Firstly, Romeoville is a small quiet suburb where nothing ever happens. So because of this incident, the city decided to cancel a major Hot Wheels event the next day.
The Hot Wheels Legends Tour event has been canceled. That event was scheduled for this afternoon in Romeoville, near where last night's shooting happened. Event organizers say they hope to reschedule once they know they can do so safely.
As a result, the city and local businesses lost out on a whole lot of money. And speaking of money, Turbo's family decided to sue Surge 75, seeking a major payday. They basically state that Surge 75 is responsible for letting the suspects in and allowing them to do what they did. It's hard to decipher how it actually happened because different reports say different things. But either way it went, the 757 rivals took no time to get on the internet and clown. So in typical Chicago fashion, 757 basically admitted to doing it. And as a result, the suspect was arrested a few days later.
Tonight, Romeoville police announced they arrested a 16-year-old boy in Chicago with the help of the U.S. Marshals Service Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force. The teen is now facing first-degree murder charges and is being held on a $5 million bond.
Of course, the loss hurt Trench Baby, but it's also like you set it off, or allegedly. So while you're up in your LA mansion, your friends are being targeted in Chicago. That can't feel good. And sadly, 757 was not done yet. 4 days later, June 27th, 2023, 7 p.m. Despite the current beef with the young generation, an OG Welch World member named Lil Dude is outside on their main block on 43rd. Lil Dude was one of the original So Icy members and pretty much like a best friend to Tay Savage. So really, the beef that's happening now is the younger generations and has nothing to do with him. Regardless though, the rivals want any Welch World members they can find. So at 7:30, Lil Dude is outside when a tinted up car rolls through. That's when they roll down their window and without any hesitation, bang! This is when the beef gets even more serious, as now OGs are not even off limits. Basically, after Trench Baby allegedly claimed the life of Lil Rue, Welch World members started dropping like flies in Chicago. Because of this, Trench Baby can no longer stand what's happening. So the next day, he makes the dangerous decision to hop on a flight and return to Chicago. He instantly goes to his rival's block and posts to come outside. Yeah, my brother's rich and I live in the LA hills, but I'm also outside and I'm not ducking smoke. The gang comes before everything else. That's the sad mentality of Trench Baby. Well, just the very next day, things would get serious. June 29th, 2023, 7 p.m. A well-respected 757 OG named Ivo is out on the block on this beautiful afternoon. He happens to be with his girlfriend on South Stewart Avenue, over 25 blocks away from the beef. Well, little does he know, somehow the rivals got his location. So at 7:20 p.m., a car rolls around and sadly lets off. In typical Chicago fashion, it's eye for an eye every day. Even though Ivo had nothing to do with the younger generation, they did this to him based on what 757 had done to them. It's a truly sad situation, but at this point, nobody was off limits in the beef. Trench Baby was the biggest target of them all, and he knew this, so he decided to head right back to LA.